This is the story of a 20-year-old who invented a whole branch of mathematics, then got shot in a field outside Paris over a mystery nobody has ever solved. His name was Évariste Galois, and in about 5 years he managed to reshape algebra forever, get expelled, get jailed twice, fall for the wrong woman, and make enemies of the most powerful men in France. Tonight we're separating the real Galois from the legend, because the myth that grew up around his death nearly swallowed the truth of his life. And the truth is stranger, sadder, and honestly better than the fairy tale. Let's start with the night he thought would be his last. May 29th, 1832. A young man sits down to write a letter he believes is a goodbye. He was right. By the following evening, he'd be bleeding out in the dirt, ditched by the very men who were supposed to help him. 36 hours later, dead. Shot in a duel whose real cause to this day nobody has ever pinned down. Keep that image parked. We'll come back to it. First, you need to understand the house this kid grew up in. Part 1. A house built on politics. Galois was born October 25th, 1811, in Bourg-la-Reine, a small town just south of Paris. And in the Galois household, politics wasn't background noise. It was the air. His dad, Nicolas Gabriel, ran the town's boarding school. Charming guy, witty, fiercely liberal, a Republican back when that word could land you in real trouble. Popular enough that the town made him mayor. His mother, Adélaïde Marie, came from a family of lawyers, classically educated, headstrong, a little eccentric. She taught Évariste herself at home until he was 12. Latin, Greek, the great texts, all of it. And here's the twist. She taught him almost no mathematics. The subject that would define his entire existence wasn't in the family at all. At 12, he got shipped off to the prestigious Lycée Louis le Grand in Paris. Cold place, rigid. Galois said it felt more like a prison than a school. Robespierre had walked those halls. So had Victor Hugo. And right before Galois showed up, 117 students got expelled in one clean sweep for refusing to raise a toast to the king. Rebellion was already baked into the walls. Then, around 14, he found it. Mathematics. He grabbed a serious geometry text meant for advanced students and, the story goes, read it cover to cover like it was a novel. He blew straight past the textbooks and went to the original works of the masters. Within a couple of years, he knew he was something rare. He was right about that too. So let's talk about what this kid actually did. Part 2. The math and why it matters. Here's the problem Galois walked into. It had been beating up mathematicians for about 350 years. You know the quadratic formula from school. Plug in the coefficients, get your answer. There are messier versions for cubic and quartic equations too, but the fifth degree equation, the quintic, nobody could crack it with a formula built from the coefficients using just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and roots. Solvable by radicals. That's the technical phrase. Now, quick truth bomb, because pop science gets this wrong constantly. Galois did not prove the quintic was unsolvable first. 2 other guys got there before him. Paolo Ruffini around 1799, with some gaps, and Niels Henrik Abel in 1824, airtight. That's the Abel-Ruffini theorem. If you hear someone say, Galois proved you can't solve the quintic, they've flubbed it. So what did he do? He explained why, and the way he did it changed what math even is. Instead of grinding away at the equations directly, Galois asked a wild question. What if you look at the symmetries of the solutions? The ways you can shuffle the roots around and keep everything consistent. Those shufflings form a structure, and he called that structure a group. That word, group, the single most used word in modern algebra? A teenager gave it its meaning. Then he nailed the whole thing to the wall with one clean rule. An equation is solvable by radicals if, and only if, its group is what we now call solvable. A group you can break down, step by step, into nice, tidy, commutative pieces. The general quintic? its group is a monster called S5, and S5 won't break down that way. Case closed. And his rule doesn't just handle the quintic, it works for any degree. The quintic's just one casualty. That's the headline. But sit with the deeper thing for a second, because it's the real legacy. Galois stopped studying equations and started studying structure, symmetry, abstract shape. He moved math from compute the answer to understand the architecture. That shift is why his name is stuck to a whole theory and not just a single theorem. Along the way, almost as a side effect, he described something called a finite field. We now call these Galois fields. And hold on to that, because that's the piece of his work you personally use every single day. We'll get there. But first, the tragedy machine starts turning. Part 3. Rejected, lost, and broken. Galois tried twice to get into the École Polytechnique, the beating heart of French math, and a nest of Republican students. Twice rejected. The second attempt is legend, a train wreck oral exam where, fed up with an examiner who couldn't follow him, Galois supposedly chucked an eraser across the room. Then came the manuscripts. And this part will make any creative person flinch. He sent his breakthrough work to the Academy of Sciences, the most important math body in France. The great Augustin Louis Cauchy got his early memoir, and it vanished, never forwarded or lost. Now, the old story paints Cauchy as the villain who trashed it, but honestly, the truth's murkier. He may actually have told Galois to revise it and come back. Historians still scrap over this one, call it genuinely unsettled. He tried again. This time the paper went to Joseph Fourier, the Academy secretary, up for the grand prize. Fourier took it home and died. The manuscript was never found in his papers. The prize went to two other mathematicians, Abel, posthumously, and Jacobi. Galois had been erased twice, both times by pure accident. Years later, he submitted his masterwork one final time. The reviewer, Simeon Denis Poisson, read it and called the argument incomprehensible. His actual words, it was neither sufficiently clear nor sufficiently developed to allow us to judge its rigor. Though, to be fair to Poisson, he also told the kid to write it up more fully and resubmit. The objection was partly about form. Galois had given his condition in terms of the roots instead of the coefficients, and the reviewers just couldn't see the depth yet. But the blow that actually broke something in Galois? That one wasn't mathematical. In 1829, his father, the witty, beloved mayor, got destroyed by a smear campaign. A local clerical faction circulated cruel forged verses in his name until his reputation collapsed. Humiliated, hollowed out, Nicolas Gabriel Galois killed himself in Paris. At the funeral back home, a near riot broke out against the priest. Évariste was 17. He already distrusted the establishment. Now he hated it, and that hatred was about to go looking for a target. Part 4. The revolution he got locked out of. July 1830. Paris detonates. The 3 glorious days, the July Revolution toppled King Charles X. For a Republican like Galois, this was the moment. Everything his family believed in, happening in the streets right outside, and he was locked inside. The director of his school, by now the École Normale, literally bolted the students in and threatened to call troops if they tried to join the fight. Galois was livid. While Polytechnique kids were out making history on the barricades, he was stuck behind a door. When the smoke cleared, the revolution had been, in Republican eyes, stolen. They swapped one king for another, Charles X out, Louis Philippe in, the so-called citizen king. Same monarchy, fresh coat of paint. Galois was disgusted. So he did what Galois always did. He attacked, wrote a scorching letter tearing into his school's director, got it published. The school fired back fast, expelled, made official in January 1831. Out of school, out of a career, out of patience. He threw himself fully into the Republican cause, joined the artillery of the National Guard, a unit so tied to Republican militancy that the monarchy would soon disband it as a straight-up threat. His days split between mathematics and revolution kept winning the tug of war.